Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NFL Week 5 episode of the Bacon Bets podcast. The road to 272 has gotten off to an abysmal start. I'm recording this as I always do on Monday night. I got both games going on here. I'm going to assume I'm going to lose both. The Jets are losing by 14 points. The Broncos are winning right now. Are they covering right now? 14-3? Yeah, they won't. The Bengals will come back here in the second half and maybe win the game, but they'll definitely get a backdoor cover here. Was feeling good about my picks this week. One on Thursday, one Sunday morning's game. Had a decent Sunday afternoon, early afternoon. Went 4-3 in the early afternoon game. So I was 6-3 heading into the late afternoon games. And I was like, man, I'm in a great spot. Time to have my first winning week of the season. Time to get some momentum around going the other way. And then I went 0-4 in the late afternoon slate and then lost on Sunday Night Football, and then I'll probably lose both Monday Night Football. So I'm going to assume my record's going to be 6-10 again after starting off 6-3. We'll see how these games wrap up, but I mean, I'll definitely lose Jets because they're down 14. The Dolphins are driving again, so definitely lose that one. And so 6-10, 7-9. We'll see. So I could come on here and say the same thing that I've said, for the past, first 3 weeks of the season and all of last year, where I just, cite bad luck and things aren't going my way. And it feels like the teams I bet on have a turnover differential of like minus 97, and every special teams play goes against me, like the Bucs blocked punt this week, like the Raiders block game winning field goal that would have won that bet going against me. I could come on here and say all those things like a lot of people who are having bad seasons are going to say. I could blame variance. I could say that the luck's going to turn around in my favor. But if you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, then that's the definition of insanity. So I've now had losing season last year, and then I'm off to the worst start I've ever been off to in the road to 272. So it's time to change my process a little bit. So I adjusted some things this week. I started looking at DVOA a little bit. I've never really been a DVOA guy. I like advanced metrics. I still don't really fully understand what DVOA is and how it's calculated, but I know the really smart guys like DVOA, so I'm going to start looking at DVOA a little bit. I'm going to get back to my bread and butter. When I was having those winning seasons doing this, when I had that season where I won over 30 units, I focused on stylistic matchups. I focused on finding teams that I felt were being overvalued in the betting market. And I also bet on big underdogs. That's the reason why I won over 30 units that year. I cashed in some big underdogs on the money line. So it's time for me to kind of get back to that. And to be honest, this bad of a start has kind of freed me a little bit. It's kind of like, okay, well, this is probably going to be another losing year, my first back-to-back losing season. It's probably going to be my worst betting season since doing the road to 272. So I got nothing to lose at this point. I've kind of accepted that. Like I've accepted I'm going to lose both my bets on Monday night. I'm just going to accept that things are going to go, against me. I'm going to have teams that fumble 3 times, fumbling the return and kickoff in the second half. I'm going to have bet on teams who have their punts blocked and their field goals blocked and penalties, return touchdowns, and a player drop the ball a yard before stepping in the end zone, and then that same player, a few plays, a quarter later, then getting a holding call on a big touchdown by his running back. I'm obviously referring to Adonai Mitchell of the Colts. It's just the fact of the matter is I'm going to bet on the team that does those kinds of stupid things every single week, every single game. So those are going to happen. I'm going to have a bad season. I'm going to have a losing season. Let's at least try to change up my process a little bit more, see if I get better results, and let's see if I can cash in on some big money line upsets at least. So that is the strategy for this week, at least a little bit, and if things kind of go my way, then maybe I'll lean into that a little bit further in the weeks to come. But nightmarish start to the season. If I go 6-10 like I envision I'm probably going to, I'll be down. I don't even remember what my down 13 units already this year, 14 units. But it is what it is. Hopefully you listened to my Ryder Cup preview on last week's episode, because I did win some money there. One in Europe, Bryson DeChambeau to hit the opening tee shot for Team USA. That was 10-1. Tommy Fleetwood, top point scorer for Europe. That was 8-1, I think. So I had some big wins in the Ryder Cup. So all in all, pretty good weekend. Everything was going my way there. The Jays won the AL East. The Falcons won in the early afternoon at a 6-3 record on the week. everything was looking up. The Ryder Cup had an exciting finish, but still went Europe's way. And then, of course, Gamblor giveth, Gamblor taketh away. Then 0-5 to finish Sunday. All 4 late afternoon games with just some heartbreakers. Like the Colts game, which is going my way. Colts are up a touchdown late. Adonai Mitchell dropped the ball hitting the end zone. Had a holding call on a Jonathan Taylor touchdown. The Raiders blocked game-winning field goal. Pete Carroll's an idiot. But that's... what are you going to do? Gambler giveth, gambler taketh away. All right, so let's see if this new strategy, if I can turn some things around. Maybe I'll at least... let's see if we can be profitable from here until the end of the season. How's that? I think that's a reasonable goal. Probably won't happen, but hey, at this point, I would recommend you probably just fade my picks. Just bet the opposite, and you'll have pretty solid weeks betting on the NFL. So, with all of that in mind, let's dive into it. It is the NFL Week 5 edition of the Bacon Bets podcast, the road to 272 bets. Marches on. Just to add how things are going for the teams I bet on tonight. A team I bet against got a touchdown on 4th and goal. The teams that I've bet on got intercepted on 4th and goal, and one guy fumbled as he was about to enter the end zone on 1st and goal or 2nd and goal, whatever it was. So, also a team I bet on has fumbled 3 times. The 2 teams I bet against have not turned the ball over whatsoever. Also, the team that I bet on had a chance to kind of bring it within 1 score, but then they went 1st and 20, 1st and 26. Now they're 4th and 24, almost out of field goal range after being in the red zone. So 4th and 24, I'm sure they'll kick a field goal to make a 2-score game a 2-score game. They kind of have to because they're not going to try to go for it on 4th and 24. So, that's on me. I should have saw that, teams I bet on were going to fumble 3 times before walking in the end zone, get 15 penalties for 800 yards, and then the other team that I bet on just gets turns the ball over on 4th and goal. So, got to be better. I got to be able to figure these things out, that these things are going to happen, unfortunately. So, yeah, fun night. 6 and 10. All right. Let's get into my picks for Week 5. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. Now, some lines have changed. I waited till tonight to bet on all these, or I should say this afternoon. We've already seen some significant line moves. I have CLV, a couple of great CLV spots. It's not going to matter like it didn't matter last week. I had CLV on almost every single game. I was on the right side of the line movement almost every single game last week, and that resulted in nothing. That resulted in nothing. My Falcons money line pick paid out a little bit more than what it would have. Is basically all I got for my being on the right side of the line movement for almost all the bets that I placed on Monday. So encouraging stuff. Great stuff. We love it. CLV. Super important. Very excited to announce that I got 2 points of CLV on Thursday Night Football, and it will mean nothing. I took the Rams minus 3.5. That line has moved to minus 5.5. They will win by 3. So the CLV will not matter. But I'm excited to see how I lose that bet. How is this bet going to lose? Is it going to be a player drops the ball before walking into the end zone? Is it going to be another blocked field goal? Is it going to be a blocked punt? Is it going to be, 6 turnovers? Is it going to be, you know what we haven't had yet this year? We haven't had a star quarterback get hurt in the game. Maybe Matt Stafford breaks his back on the first series. That would be, a little bit of a change, losing the bet a little bit of a different way. So yeah, I'm excited to see how I lose this Rams minus 3.5 bet. But I will go Rams minus 3.5, minus 118 against the 49ers because I continue to bet on the 49ers and they continue to lose. So now this is the week that they will win. I'm losing my mind, and we're only on Week 5. Rams. I got to apologize for my Rams stake. Credit to me for actually changing a little bit here. I said heading into the season, the Rams were the most fraudulent team in the NFL. Matt Stafford had a broken back by all accounts, but then he laid on a holistic healing table, and now he's fixed, and he looks as healthy as ever. So Matt Stafford's having a great year. The Rams' defense is unbelievable. They lead the NFL in net yards per play. Their defense is 3rd in opponent EPA per play. The line moved, by the way, because Brock Purdy's back to being questionable. He re-aggravated his turf toe, so maybe we'll get Mac Jones. But at this point, I don't even know if Mac Jones is worth a 2-point movement because him and Brock Purdy might just be the same quarterback. So all my Brock Purdy takes have been wrong. He's actually kind of just an average system quarterback, as a lot of other people said. So there you go. I will take the Rams. I've been anti-Rams all season. I've been pro 49ers. It's time for me to make a switch. Give me the Rams. -3.5, -118. If you're looking to bet on it, I'll take my tongue out of my cheek here and be a little bit more serious. If you're looking to bet on it now at the -5.5 number, I would probably take the 49ers at that number now. My bet would probably switch. I set the Rams as 4.5-point favorites, and at this point, I don't really see much of a difference between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. So if Mac Jones starts and it's 5.5, and you might want to wait, because if Mac Jones does officially start, it might move another half point, another point. But if it stays at 5.5, which is where it is now, like if this was 5.5 when I went to go bet it, I'd probably take the 49ers. I know 5 is kind of a dead number in betting. 4, a little less so. So yeah, I'm on Rams -3.5, but at 5.5, I'd probably go 49ers, or I'd consider taking the under, because the Rams defense has been much better than their offense. But for the sake of my bets and for the sake of the show, I got Rams -3.5, -118. Moving on to Sunday morning, we're in London. Last week we were in Dublin. I believe now it is in London. It is the Vikings, their back-to-back international game. Successfully took the Steelers against the Vikings this past week. I'm going to take the Browns. Getting 3.5 points. I'm a little bit surprised that they're getting more than a field goal here in this spot on a neutral field, largely because these two teams are very similar, actually. Both teams are kind of all defense, no offense. I mean, just look at the total. The total is 36.5. I wanted to bet the under, then I saw the total, and I was like, oh, there's no value there. Because you could have a total of 36.5 and it can go over because like the defenses are actually so good that the offenses get enough field position to hit 40 points. So it would take quite a bit for me to bet the under on a total this low. And I think we got to respect the Browns a little bit here. This is a team that started the season playing 4 extremely good offenses. They played the Bengals with Joe Burrow as their quarterback. They played the Ravens in week 2. They played the Packers and the Lions. And despite playing those 4 offenses, the Browns lead the NFL in opponent yards per play. They give up just 4.1 yards per snap. They're 7th in opponent EPA per play, and 6th in opponent success rate. So a very elite defense. Remember last year that elite defense kind of escaped them. They were not as good as they were 2 years ago, but that elite defense might be back. Top 5, top 10 in almost every metric, despite having one of the toughest schedules to start the season. And now they get to play a Vikings team with an extremely banged up offensive line. One of their tackles is out again this week, and Carson Wentz at quarterback, who last week showed that he is still the Carson Wentz that we all know and love. So I just can't bet this Vikings team to cover 3.5 points. They might win, but I just can't, over that magic number of 3 at 3.5, I just can't bet on the Vikings to cover that spread. I mean, are they going to score enough points to do that? I know the Browns offense obviously needs to, fix some things that they're doing, but yeah, I have no interest in laying that many points on this Vikings offense against this Browns defense. So I will go Browns plus 3.5 at -105. I bet that over this was not a American regulated book. Where was this? I got this line at the Score Bet, which I think might have the same interface as ESPN Bet. It might be the same odds, but don't quote me on that. Moving on, we got a team that is playing right now, and this line, based on their performance tonight, is probably going to be bigger when it reopens after the game. I took Dolphins -1.5, -110 against the Carolina Panthers. I bet that at BetMGM. The line's obviously off the board right now because this game is ongoing, and the Jets and the Dolphins just punted. So it's 24-13. The Dolphins are likely going to win that game and cover the spread. So that line might be a little bit bigger when it reopens tomorrow morning. But I think that Carolina Panthers 30-0 win against the Falcons 2 weeks ago, and I talked about this last week, and it was actually probably, my best handicap game was taking the Patriots against the Dolphins. That game is doing a lot of work in the betting market for this Panthers team, but when you look at the numbers in that game, that might be the most fraudulent 30-0 win ever. The Panthers offense got the ball at like midfield at worst almost every single drive. Just look at their underlying net metrics. 29th in the NFL in net yards per play. Their defense cannot stop the run, 31st in opponent rush EPA. They give up 4.9 yards per carry. This is the big reason why I like the Dolphins in this game. is the Dolphins' offense has actually, despite not being good this year, has been able to run the ball extremely effectively. One of the actually best and most effective rush attacks in the NFL. They can attack where the Panthers are at their weakest, which is stopping the run. So this is a styles make fights kind of game here. Dolphins actually are going to be hurt. Tyreek Hill, his leg got twisted up, so maybe this line actually doesn't open bigger because Tyreek Hill's obviously going to be out. He's done for the year. His leg was gross. I don't know if you saw that, but I'm betting on the Dolphins because of the rush attack. No, Tyreek Hill does not change at least my handicap for this game. So I will be taking the Dolphins -1.5. Maybe you can actually get a plus money without, or pick them with Tyreek Hill out. Just watching the last 17 seconds here of this Broncos-Bengals game. Looks like they should be able to kick a field goal here and go up 2 touchdowns. So maybe I can scrounge out a 7-9 week. Now the Jets got to score on a touchdown this drive. They just got the ball back on their own 3-yard line. So perfect. They just need to drive 97 yards, score, and then get the ball back again and score again. So yeah, that's toast. I was high. I don't know why I switched off the Dolphins. I was high on the Dolphins the past number of weeks. I thought they were being undervalued by the betting market. I don't know why last week I switched off them. Dumb. Raiders and Colts. This is going to be an ugly bet. But there are 7s out there available for this game. There's 6.5 some places, 7s other places. I have to just take the 7 points with the Raiders. This is the ultimate buy low spot. People are very low on this Raiders team after losing 3 straight games and not really looking good, especially defensively against the Bears last week. But the Raiders, a lot of their metrics aren't that bad. 19th in the NFL in net yards per play. The Colts offense has been very, very good, but their defense has actually been kind of gettable at times. If this is, if it was only 6.5s available, I probably would have bet the over. But I was able to get a 7, a +1 or +7 -120, and a whole touchdown worth of points. Like I just don't think this Raiders team is quite that bad. Like I think 6.5 is the right price. But there's a big difference betting on the NFL between 6.5 and 7. So I was able to get the 7. I took the 7. Certainly not one of my more confident plays, but I just don't think this Raiders team is quite as bad as the betting market has them evaluated as. I do think Geno Smith's gonna pick things up and play a little bit better here as the season goes on. Broncos just scored a touchdown, which is huge. So yeah, maybe 7-9 week. So there you go. How about that? I'll only be down 11 units this season instead of 14 or whatever. Fuck's sakes. Raiders +7 -1. I don't really have a big breakdown for this game because a lot of the numbers lean Colts, especially like their offensive numbers. But me losing on the Colts last week scared me away from them, to be completely honest. Maybe I'm kind of letting that game get to me a bit much. Daniel Jones turned the ball over 3 times, I think, was it? Or was it just 3 turnovers they had? No, I think it was just 3 turnovers. But that game-sealing interception he threw just felt like such an old Daniel Jones throw. I'm now kind of a little bit nervous about the Colts team. So they should still win in this spot, and I might pick them for Survivor. I'll talk about that a little bit further, or a little bit later on in the show, obviously, at the end. But with the spread being at a full 7 points, give me the Raiders. Giants and Saints. This is another one that the line has moved my direction, and it won't matter. I took the Saints +2.5. I got it to +2.5, -115 at DraftKings just a few short hours ago. That line has now moved to, I think they're slight favorites now. Yeah, Saints 1.5 point favorites. This line has moved 3 points. I tried to figure out why. Jackson Darrett's questionable this week, but I don't see any reports that he's like expected to kind of miss this game. Let me see if I can search this again. Was this just sharp action? Did I just get in on the sharp side before the pros kind of pounded it, or I searched Jackson Dart, nothing really coming up about it. Jackson Dart questionable. No. I searched Jackson Dart questionable, and I found a tweet from November 9th, 2024 from Big Content Guys. Obviously this is from when he's at Ole Miss. Is Jackson Dart questionable return, bracket gay. That's not funny. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll take the Saints +2.5 at 150. I mean, that's just some old school, high school humor. I mean, come on, you can't laugh at that. You can't laugh at anything. That's just, come on. That's just high school humor. Saints plus 2.5, minus 115. I will take New Orleans against the Giants at the new number. To be honest, I like the Giants. So this is now 2 bets that the line has moved as of even just a few hours ago, and my side is flipped. So if you're betting on this now and it's a pick'em, what's DraftKings having it now? Yeah, Giants minus 105, Saints minus 115. I would actually flip and take the Giants. Because remember, we're betting numbers. We're not necessarily betting teams. I have this game set as a pick'em. So that's why I took the Saints at plus 2.5. So now, I mean, minus 105, I would take just whatever side is the underdog. The Giants are getting a 1.5 at minus 120. You could take the under. I wouldn't hate the under at 40.5. But the reason why I like the Saints at plus 2.5 here, I think it is a buy low, sell high spot. Giants coming off that upset win against the Chargers, but really offensively their numbers weren't great. Jackson Dart only had to throw the ball like 20 times, completed 14 to 20 passes or something. This team still ranks pretty low across the board, and actually their numbers with the Saints are very similar. They're 25th and 27th in net yards per play, 21st and 25th in EPA per play, 26th and 28th in opponent EPA per play. All their metrics with the Saints and the Giants are nearly identical, so just take the underdog and hope for the best. Especially when I bet this, I was able to get the underdog at home. I'll probably lean Giants now at the current line, but I got Saints plus 2.5 minus 115. The Texans and the Ravens. Reports are Lamar Jackson is questionable for this game. If you have not bet on this game yet, my recommendation would be to set your Twitter alerts on for any Ravens beat writer, and the moment that it becomes official, whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to play or not, go ahead and bet as quickly as you can and see if you can beat the line movement. Because right now, the line is sitting at a spot where it is not committed to Lamar Jackson playing, or if he doesn't, so we'll see line movement no matter what. If Jackson is in, this line will climb. If Jackson is out, it'll probably fall at least a point to 3.5 and may even get under 3 or maybe at 3. So if you have not bet this yet, put your reminders on and hope that you are on your phone when the tweet comes through that Lamar Jackson is in or out, and try to get your bet in the 15 seconds you have before the line changes on your favorite sportsbook app. Right now, because I have to place my bets before I record on Monday nights, I took the Texans. Because I do kind of have to. Oh shit! This is the week the Ravens win by 20 points. I'm doing what I did to the Dolphins this past week, and now I'm paying for it. Okay, the Jets are actually 3rd and 15. Now they're gonna punt. Yeah, so bet's dead. Maybe I should have just stayed with the Ravens. I was gonna say I got to get off the Ravens because they are not as good as I evaluated them to be. Their defense is horrific. But maybe I'm getting off 1 week too early. I'm questioning myself now. It's too late. I'm on the Texans. Lamar Jackson's been sacked 11 times already. Now he has to take on one of the more effective pass rushers in the NFL in the Texans. And I actually don't think the Texans are as bad as a lot of people think. I know they obviously finally moved the ball last week against a horrific Titans team. But still, their metrics are a little bit better than you would expect, whereas the Ravens' defensive metrics just truly horrific. 29th in opponent EPA per play, 27th in opponent success rate. They've given up 5.7 yards per play. That's 26th in the NFL. I can't bet on the Ravens, how they're currently being evaluated by the betting market. It's not the offense I don't trust, it's the defense that I do not trust. So I will take the 4.5 points with a team with much better defense and hope CJ Stroud and company. And what's the guy's name? Woody Marks, the rookie running back for the Texans. Let's get him going, and let's get this Texans team going. We're getting 4.5 points as of Monday night, so let's take those 4.5 points. Let me see if it's actually down to 3.5. There might be a 4.5 out there though. Whatever. I recommend waiting. To be honest, if you can wait until later in the week, I would wait. I got the Texans at plus 4.5. minus 102. So I currently have a point to CLV, but if Lamar Jackson does play in this game, I'll end up having negative CLV. So I'm not going to celebrate that. And to be honest, probably won't matter. Broncos against the Eagles. I have talked to you about how I need to get back to my bread and butter when I had great winning seasons years ago, and that was to be aggressive with some money line upset picks. I have 2 this week that I'm getting very aggressive with. I've picked out 2 teams that I think have not played nearly as good as their record indicates, that are not nearly as good as the betting market is treating them, and I've picked out the Philadelphia Eagles as one of those teams. So give me the Denver Broncos at 2-1, plus 200 to win against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, so far this season, through the first 4 weeks pending tonight's results, are 28th in the NFL in net yards per play, minus 1.2 net yards per play. That is 1 spot worse than the Saints and 1 spot better than the Panthers. The only teams worse in net yards per play than the Eagles are the Panthers at minus 1.3, the Bears and Bengals at minus 1.4, Bengals pending tonight, and the Titans at minus 2.2. If we look at some more advanced metrics, because I know you'll say, Ian, net yards per play isn't everything. I agree with you, so let's look at some more advanced metrics. Their offense is 14th in the NFL in EPA per play. This is just refreshing a bit. Just give me a second here. They're obviously going to rank a little bit higher in success rate because of how good they are at getting first downs on 3rd and 4th. Let's see that in a second here. Success rate, they are still not that good. 17th in success rate, so offensively. 14th in EPA per play. 17th in success rate defensively. They are 12th in EPA per play, and success rate's not going to work for me. Let's quickly take a peek at DVOA. I told you I was going to start using this advanced metric that I'm too dumb to figure out. DVOA heading into Monday Night Football, the Eagles rank 12th in overall DVOA, 16th in offensive DVOA, 14th in defensive DVOA. Of all those numbers that I hopefully didn't bore you with, does that sound like a team who should be 4-0? No. Does that sound like a team who, quote-unquote, might be due for a loss? Yes. Now, I don't mean due in the normal sense, like, oh, they've won 40 games in a row, now they have to lose. I mean, I don't think you can continue to win at this rate when those are your underlying metrics. Now, maybe they'll turn things around and they'll have a great performance this week from a statistic standpoint, from a metric standpoint, but they're playing a team who was a playoff team last year, who's probably going to come off a win on Monday Night Football, so we might not even be able to get this 2-1 price tomorrow morning. But this is certainly a Broncos team who has the defense, who has the team, who has the coaching to beat this Eagles team. So it's time to get aggressive. I got nothing to lose at this point. It's already going to be a losing season, it looks like. So give me the Denver Broncos to upset the Philadelphia Eagles at 2-1. I got to get back to some more totals betting. Totals betting was actually, I did pretty strong with last year. So I got 2 totals bets this week. I got 1 over and 1 under. My overplay is the Cowboys and Jets over 47.5 at minus 106. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is off the board. I was just going to see what the latest odds were, but it's off the board because the Jets are playing. Not for much longer because they are... Did they punt it? Yeah, they punted. I mean, how do you... You're down 2 scores. I know that it's like 4th and 10, but like there's 5 minutes left in the game. You're down 2 scores. Like, you're not going to get the ball back twice. Yeah, and the Dolphins are in the end zone. Yeah, so that game's over. Why did I get off the Dolphins? That was such a Dolphins play. That was such a Dolphins game. Of course, the Dolphins are only winning cover. This is the downside of placing all my bets on Monday. Is that, like, as the week goes on, my opinion changes about games, but it's, like, too late for me to change my bet. As this week went on, my opinion about this Dolphins-Jets game changed. But I couldn't change it. Regardless, Cowboys-Jets next week, I'll take the over. I can't do anything. I think the only way I can bet on Cowboys games moving forward is to bet the over. You can't lay points against the Cowboys because Dak Prescott and their offense, 3rd in the NFL in EPA per play. They're just going to be able to score every time they touch the ball, but you can't bet on the Cowboys because their defense is so bad they let the other team score every time they touch the ball. So the Cowboys offense 3rd in the NFL in EPA per play. Their defense is 31st in the NFL in EPA per play. Jets offense isn't good, but at least coming into Monday Night Football, 30th in opponent EPA per play on defense. So I guess I'll just bet the over. I'm actually surprised the total is still in the 40s. I think at some point we're just going to see the totals in the 50s in every single Cowboys game. Makes for exciting football. So the only thing I can do with that game is bet the over. So I'll take Cowboys-Jets over 47.5 at minus 106. The Titans and the Cardinals. I bet on the Titans almost every single game last season. I bet them on the first 2 weeks this year. I then got off them. I said, you know what? I'm learning my lesson. I'm going to bet against the Titans. Those bets won the last 2 weeks. I'm sorry to announce. I apologize. I got to take the Titans this week. Oh, no. I have to do it. 9.5 points on this Cardinals team. I'll say this right now. If the Titans don't cover this week, I will not bet on the Titans the rest of the season. I promise that. I'll either take the team they're playing against or I'll bet on the total. But I can't lay 9.5 points on this Cardinals team. I know how bad the Titans are. I don't have any metrics to support this pick in terms of pro Titans stats. They're dead last by a mile in net yards per play. They're last in EPA, opponent of EPA per play. They can't protect Cam Ward. Nobody can catch a ball. But 9.5 points on an NFL game on the Arizona Cardinals, I can't do it. The Cardinals are 22nd in net yards per play, 26th in offensive success rate. They've had some explosive plays, which is why their actual EPA numbers are pretty solid. But 9.5 points, man. This Cardinals team is not good enough to lay 9.5 points against another national team from the National Football League. I just can't do it. I don't believe in this Cardinals team. For the competition they've had to face to start the year, their numbers should be way better than what they are. I'm very low on this Cardinals team. I wish I could get a 10. It might go to 10. Let's see where it is now. Oh, it's actually down to 8.5. So there you go. I got another point to CLV. I'm excited to see how that doesn't work for me. Where did I bet this at to see the FanDuel had it at 8.5? Where does I bet that FanDuel? Yeah, so I had 9.5 earlier this day, minus 105. It's down to 8.5 and minus 105. I still like 8. And 8 or above. I can't lay. I can't lay more than a touchdown on the Cardinals. I just can't. And for those of you, I mean, especially this week, it seems like I've got a ton of CLV. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm just giving out, incorrect numbers that didn't exist, these are all tracked in real time on BetStamp. I make my picks private the week of, so no one can just go to BetStamp and get all my picks. They have to, at best, listen to this podcast. At worst, click on my article on SI, which gives me view for that. But once the game is completed, you can see that the bet is verified and you can see the exact time that I placed the bet. I placed this bet, for example, today at 12:29, so 12:30. At that point, it was plus 9.5. It's dropped a point. Sorry that I'm sharp. You should bet the other side anyways because CLV has not mattered this season at all. It only matters when I get negative CLV, then it comes into play. Like the 49ers a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals. Fuck's sakes. Yeah, I'm just not laying. I'm not laying more than a touch on the Cardinals. I just can't do it. So the Titans, let me look this up. This is actually kind of interesting. NFL ATS records. Obviously, ATS records shift depending on what line you're talking about, but I'm just going to go to team rankings. They had team ranking as the Titans covering week 1 against the Broncos. They were 8-point underdogs, so it was a push for me, of course. So another one, I had negative CLV and it worked against me. Perfect. When I get CLV, I haven't had a pro CLV pick yet this season. But sure, let's go 1-3 this season for the Titans against the spread. Last season they were 2-15 against the spread. So 3-18 against the spread in their last 21 games. That is laughably bad. Laughably bad. I would say there's got to be some regression of the mean, but I said that all last season, so I kept betting the Titans and it never came. So maybe it doesn't come. Regardless, I've talked too much about this game. Titans plus 9.5 minus 105 is the line I got. The Buccaneers and the Seahawks. Now, this is a big... I mentioned earlier how this is a big DVOA week. I'm going to monitor some things with DVOA. I'm looking at DVOA and see where teams stand this week, and then I'm going to monitor how they do, and I might lean on DVOA a little bit more moving forward. I might spend some time to try to fully understand how it's calculated, and this is the game I've circled, Seahawks-Buccaneers, because the Seahawks, a lot of their metrics are good, at least the numbers I look at. Like, for example, where are the net yards per play here? Do I not have my net yards per play tab open? Of course I don't. Did I write it down in my notes? No, of course I didn't. Okay, net yards per play. Second in the NFL in net yards per play. EPA, they are 13th offensively. Defensive EPA, they're 8th. So good metrics. But DVOA has them as the best team in the NFL. First in defensive DVOA, 6th in offensive DVOA, first in overall DVOA, and by a significant margin. 6.8% better than the next best team, who are the Lions. I'm not betting on the Seahawks based on DVOA this week. If my Buccaneers plus 3.5 minus 118 bet loses, I will then have to rely on DVOA and research this stat a little bit more moving forward. The reason why I'm betting on the Buccaneers is because the Seahawks run the ball at the second highest rate in the NFL. 53.02% of their plays are running plays. Only the Eagles run the ball more. And now they take on a Buccaneers defense that has been fantastic against the run. They lead the NFL in opponent rush EPA, 4th in opponent rush success rate. They've allowed 3.3 yards per carry. I followed this strategy last week against the Eagles, but unfortunately, as has been happening, every team that I bet on had a block punt that was returned for a touchdown. And then it ended up being a 6 or 7 point game. And the Buccaneers turned it over. I think Baker Mayfield threw an interception in the end zone too. So I just can't predict those things happening, unfortunately. I still think the Buccaneers was the right side last week against the Eagles. And now we have kind of a similar matchup. It's now the Seahawks, not the Eagles, but it's a team that runs the ball, that plays, in theory, is supposed to play good defense. So I will back the Buccaneers plus 3.5 minus 118. If it loses, I'll be a DVOA guy moving forward. Lions and Bengals. First of all, I think I gained a half point of CLV on Buccaneers. I'm seeing plus 3 at FanDuel. Lions, I'm seeing, well, that game's off the board because the Bengals are, you're probably not going to get 8.5 on the Lions because the Bengals are getting their ass kicked right now. But I got 8.5. I got 8.5. Minus 8.5 on the Lions, minus 110. The argument against the Lions that you're going to hear people say is the Lions' defense isn't good. That's actually not true so far this season. It's kind of been proven. Week 1 was a little bit of an anomaly game for them. I mean, on the road against Green Bay is going to be tough. Since then, they have completely recovered. They are 6th in the NFL in EPA per play, but they are also 6th in the NFL in opponent EPA per play. They also rank 4th in opponent success rate. Sorry, just watching that bomb by Bo Nix. I need this win. I can't go 6-10 after starting 6-3. I need 7-9 at least. The Bengals are a disaster, which is being proven by this game tonight. They're losing 21-3 to the Bengals. Their offense is nothing. I was kind of high on Jake Browning, but they need some help in the offensive line. They need some kind of running game. And the Lions defense, while you might think is bad, at least statistically for most metrics, has been actually one of the better defenses in the NFL this season. DVOA, 4th in offensive DVOA, 5th in defensive DVOA. They have special teams DVOA too. Who sucks? It's probably the teams I bet on. Who sucks at special teams? Saints? Okay, no. Buccaneers, makes sense. That's why I lost that bet last week. 49ers, makes sense. I keep betting on the 49ers and losing. Oh, this might be big. This might be revolutionary. Cleveland Browns, let's not go with my Browns bet this week. Raiders, yep. Also not good with my Raiders bet this week. Falcons, makes sense. Packers, yup. Chargers, yup. I need to start factoring in special teams DVOA. That was a little light bulb moment. That's why I kept losing on the Titans last year too, because of special teams. I've ignored special teams. I don't think I can ignore special teams anymore. I'm taking Lions minus 8.5, minus 110. But let me look at this a little bit further. Who has the best special teams? Commanders, number 1 in special teams DVOA so far this season. Jets, number 3, certainly not tonight. That'll fall. Vikings, yup, a team I bet against. Seahawks, number 2. Yeah. It seems by complete coincidence, I continue to bet on teams who are bad at special teams, and I bet against teams who are good at special teams. That's got to change. Special teams DVOA. That might be the key ingredient to us getting some momentum in the second half of the season. Now, unfortunately, this next pick I'm going to break down is on a team that sucks at special teams against a team that's good at special teams. So, fuck. Chargers minus 2.5 and minus 120. Oh boy. Jaden Daniels expected to make his return to the Commanders lineup in this game, but I'm not sold on Jaden Daniels yet. Even in his first 2 starts, he's near the bottom of the NFL in most quarterback metrics. So don't necessarily rush to, and especially if Terry McLaurin's out again this week, but he might be back as well. We'll see. But they're going to struggle, I think, against this Chargers defense. On the road against the Chargers defense, they're ranked 4th in opponent EPA per play, 1st in opponent success rate, 1st in opponent drop back success rate. The Chargers offense, I'm going to chalk up last week's loss to the Giants, a bit of an anomaly game for that Chargers offense. That was an F game by them. The good thing is Omarion Hampton finally had a breakout game, so let's lean on him a little bit more moving forward. But I think the Chargers are probably not as good as they're being valued as before last week, but probably better than they're being valued as right now. That defense still remains elite. Their offense has got to do a little bit of a better job moving forward. But I will take the Chargers minus 2.5. This is more of a bet that I'm not as high on the Commanders as the betting market seems to be. But maybe that's because of special teams. I have not taken into consideration special teams at all. But give me Chargers minus 2.5, minus 120. Sunday night football, we have the New England Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills. I told you I was getting aggressive this week. I've already given you a 2-1 underdog. The Broncos to upset the Philadelphia Eagles. Sunday night football. Boom, 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 boom. Give me the New England Patriots to win outright. Keep your 8.5 fucking points, or how many fucking points it is. 8.5 points. Keep your points. I don't want them. I'll take the Patriots on the money line plus 375. This is how I win. The weight's off my shoulders, baby. I'm coming out firing this week, and I don't give a hoot. The Bills had a solid game against the Ravens where they came back and beat them in week 1. Since then, the Bills have played the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints, 3 of the worst teams in the NFL. Despite having that stretch of games in their schedule, the Bills rank 7th in the NFL in net yards per play. Their defense ranks 22nd in opponent EPA per play, 17th in opponent success rate, 22nd in defensive DVOA. Their defense is horrific. Those are the numbers while playing against the Jets, Dolphins, and Saints. Any competent offense is going to be able to move the ball up and down the field against this Bills defense. Matt Milano is still out. They need him to come back. Another couple other injuries on the Bills defense. This Bills defense is bad. They did not cover the spread as double-digit favorites against the Dolphins. They did not cover the spread as double-digit favorites against the Saints. In fact, that game against the Saints was a lot closer than it seemed like it was. The Saints had 1st and goal with a chance to go up on the Bills late in the game, and they ran like a receiver reverse that was picked off. Like a wide receiver reverse pass that was intercepted. You won't believe it. You won't believe what just happened. This whole podcast, I've been saying teams I bet on do the most fucking stupid thing I've ever seen. They fumble. They throw bad timed interceptions. Their special teams suck. The Broncos just fielded a punt return, and the buddy fumbled it right into the hands of the Bengals player. Like the Bengals player, he was like this. His arms were wide open, and the ball just went in his chest, and he was like, okay, I'll take it. The Bengals now have like 1st and goal. What are they going to call here? Are they going to say like, oh, penalty against the kicking team? Okay, I was going to say, I mean, if the Bengals got the ball there and then scored, they'd be 1 score away from covering the spread. And you know how that was going to end up. Thankfully, it looks like it's coming back. I mean, that would have been the type of play, though. That's happening to me. I think I have the game on mute, so I can't really tell. The Jets might get the ball back with one more chance in this. They're going to get the ball back, but there's going to be 18 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, the Broncos got the ball. We're okay there. Back to this Sunday Night Football upset. The Bills' defensive numbers are bad. Now, people have not noticed this because they're 4-0. People have not noticed this because Josh Allen has played unbelievable, and he could still just outscore the Patriots. But the Patriots' offense is good enough that they can do some damage in this game. Drake May has actually quietly had a fantastic start to the season. He's 6th among starting quarterbacks in EPA plus CPOE composite and adjusted EPA per play. I love the over in this bet, but I think this is going to be a back and forth offensive shootout, and I think it's going to come down to whatever team has the ball last. And if that's true, I will take the side that's getting plus 375. We are taking a shot. It's time to get back to my old ways. This is the type of bet I would have placed. What year was it that I had the really good year? Was it 2021, 2020, 2021? This is the type of shot I'd take. And if it loses, whatever. But I think the Patriots are live in this game. And I don't think enough people are talking about it. Patriots plus 375 to upset the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. Monday night, Chiefs, Jaguars. They're going to end on a little, boring note here. Give me the under 46 between the Jaguars and Chiefs. The Jaguars have a 3-1 record because of their defense. They lead the NFL in opponent EPA per play, 5th in opponent success rate, 3rd in defensive DVOA. Offensively, they're just 18th in EPA, 14th in DVOA. Trevor Lawrence, 26th among starting quarterbacks in EPA plus CPOE composite. I'm going to place the under because of that. I still don't know what the Chiefs are. The Chiefs look to be back to being AFC contenders after kind of wiping the floor with the Ravens. Their offense looked as good as they've ever looked, but was that because the Ravens are actually not that good of a team? Are the Chiefs' defense looked as good as they have in a while, but is that sustainable? I'm still trying to figure out the Chiefs, and so in a game, we're still relatively early in the season, in a game where I'm just not, I feel like I have a good feel on almost every team except for the Chiefs. So I'm just going to put the Chiefs out of the equation. I'm going to focus on the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are all defense, no offense, and I do not have faith in Trevor Lawrence. I don't have faith in Travis Hunter. I don't have faith in Brian Thomas Jr. I think the Jaguars defense is very good. I think the Jaguars defense can keep the Chiefs offense in check. So the total at 46, I will take the under on that. Under 46, minus 110 between the Chiefs and Jaguars. So there are all my picks. Let me just quickly recap them here, and then I'll give you my best bets, my survivor pick, and my teaser. We got Browns. Oh, sorry. Let me start on Thursday Night Football. I got the Rams minus 3.5 and minus 118. At the current number of 5.5, I like the 49ers. But for the purposes of this show, I'm on Rams minus 3.5, minus 118. Sunday, like Browns, plus 3.5, minus 105. Dolphins minus 1.5 against the Panthers. Raiders plus 7, minus 120 against the Colts. I got the Saints plus 2.5, minus 115, but at the current number where it's a pick'em, I would actually go with the Giants. I would back Jackson Dart. I saw enough from his start last week that in a pick'em spot, I would take them, but I was able to get 2.5 points before the line moved on the Saints. So Saints plus 2.5, minus 115. Texans plus 4.5, minus 102 against the Ravens. Broncos money line 2-1 against the Eagles. Cowboys Jets over 47.5, minus 106. Titans plus 9.5, minus 105 against the Cardinals. I like it at 8.5. I like it at any more than a touchdown. Hopefully you can get the 8.5. Buccaneers plus 3.5, minus 118 against the Seahawks. Lions minus 8.5 against the Bengals. Chargers minus 2.5, minus 120 against the Commanders. Patriots plus 375 on the money line against the Bills. And then Chiefs, Jaguars under 46, minus 110. The road to 272 survivor pool. Let me just quickly, the Jets game is over. Did they get a drive? They got one play. Lateral, illegal forward pass. So, okay. I should have just took the Dolphins. I don't know what the fuck I was doing last week. Yeah. Oh, well. Does J.K. Dobbins, I placed a bet before, 50 yards, he needs some more carries. Okay. Road to 272 survivor pool. A few more eliminations this week. 49 entries were eliminated this week, so we're down to 114 entries for the official Road to 272 survivor pool. Cool, good stuff. If you're on the Chargers, you're eliminated. I was on the Chargers with a different pool. You're eliminated if you're on the Chargers. You're eliminated if you're on the Packers because that ended in a tie. Last week's episode, I said I was going to take the Texans. I swapped off that. I have the right to switch when it comes to Survivor. I ended up going Patriots. It didn't matter. I found out the Texans were actually going to be the most popular pick this week, so I actually went off them and hoped they were going to lose, at least for Survivor. I mean, I bet on them. But both the Texans and Patriots won and covered, so it doesn't really matter. All that matters is, if you took the Texans, now you have the Patriots left. If you use the Patriots, now you have the Texans left. Who cares? You're probably not going to be begging to use either of those teams again this season. But I did end up using the Patriots, so I no longer have the Patriots available. I do technically still have the Texans. This week is a tough week. Let's quickly take a look here. You could go with the Rams, especially if Brock Purdy's not playing. You could go with the Rams on Thursday night. I'm probably not going to do that. I wouldn't touch the Vikings-Browns game. That is in London. That leaves you with the Colts, who are 6.5-point home favorites to the Raiders. The Cardinals, who are 8.5-point favorites to the Titans. Now, I can't use the Cardinals. I think I've used the Cardinals in all my pools. I used the Cardinals in this pool in week 1 when they played the Saints. So you might not have the Cardinals either. You could use the Bills, and I obviously don't like the Bills. So if you're looking at favorites of 6 points or more, you got the Colts, you got the Cardinals, and you got the Bills. I don't have the Cardinals, and I think the Patriots win on Sunday Night Football, and I hope that eliminates some entries. That leaves me with the Colts. Now I have another... No, I guess the line's not reposted, but the Lions are going to be big favorites too, obviously against the Bengals. That line's not posted, so I didn't see it right now. But the Lions will obviously be big favorites against the Bengals. You could go Lions. I have flirted with the idea of having a real sneaky, stupid pick that's going to get me eliminated. I kind of want to go with the Dolphins. You might just be able to pick against the Panthers every game the rest of the season and win. That's how low I am on this Panthers team. But I believe it is in Carolina. Right now, I'm going to say I'm going to go with the Colts, but I do have the right to switch off that. I do think we're going to have a good Geno Smith game at some point coming up, and that scares me. But they are at home. It's a non-divisional game. Maybe they don't cover, but they can win. I took the Raiders at +7, so if I take the Colts, like a 4-point Colts victory, I'm happy. If not, I might just chicken out and just take the Lions against the Bengals. I'm definitely not going to go Bills, and I can't go Cardinals. So right now I'll say I'm going to take the Colts, but that's subject to change. If you care, you can DM me and I'll tell you. My best bets last week, Jets lost. So I went 2-3. My 5 best bets, I went... I don't have them written down here. It was Falcons and Patriots that I won out of my 5 best bets. I lost Colts, Jets, and Chargers, I think. Teaser last week lost on Chargers. I teased the Chargers down to a pick 'em. They lost outright to the Giants. I think that's my first losing teaser of the season. My 5 best bets this week. I got Dolphins to cover against the Panthers, Browns to cover against the Vikings, Broncos to cover against the Eagles, Titans to cover against the Cardinals, and Patriots to cover against the Bills. I can't believe I made the Titans one of my best bets, but it is. I just can't lay this many points on the Cardinals. Obviously, I'm on money line for Patriots and Broncos, so if it's a pick 'em pool where you got to put in spread picks, obviously I like those teams to cover. The Browns, I think it's crazy. They're getting 3.5 points against the Vikings in London. And the Dolphins, despite no Tyreek Hill, I just really don't like the Panthers. I think the Dolphins can run the ball all over them, so I'll take the Dolphins in that one against the Panthers. So Dolphins, Browns, Broncos, Titans, Patriots, all 5 to cover are my 5 best bets. My teaser this week now included 2 games. My teaser of the week, I just realized, is involving teams that played tonight, so their odds aren't even known. If the odds stay the same, I will tease the Broncos up from +4.5 to +10.5 against the Eagles. And if the Lions open as 8.5-point favorites against the Bengals, I'll tease the Lions down from 8.5 down to 2.5. So Broncos and Lions as a 2-leg 6-point teaser. This has been the NFL Week 5 episode of the Bacon Bets podcast. Good luck with all your bets this week. Go ahead and bet the opposite of everything I'm doing, and you'll have yourself a fun week. Gamble or bless. The road to 272 bets marches on.